Welcome back. This is the Pencil Kings show, formerly the Pencil Kings podcast, but now that we've switched to video, you can check us out at YouTube. Just go to YouTube and look up Pencil Kings and you'll find the link there. And today, and for the next several episodes, we're going to be interviewing Evolve students because literally this is the thing. There's so many amazing stories coming out of this. So for the month of December, we're going to be all Evolve, and then we'll get back to doing the artist interviews like we've been doing before. But for the next couple of weeks, you'll be hearing from some of the Evolve students. And today we are joined by Piper Talladay, the head instructor of the program. So welcome to the show, Piper. How are you doing today? I'm
good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So first of all, where are you from? I'm just going to explain a little bit because this is the first interview from the old format where it was very free flow, and I've got a set number of questions that we'll be asking the students as they go through, and we're going to try and keep things short and sweet with this. First question is, where are you from?
I'm from the United States.
Cool. And so why did you originally join the Evolve program? Like, you've been there for a while. So actually, let's get into your story a little bit, like how you got to be the head instructor, because you're different than the average student, but you did go through the entire program. It wasn't called Evolve at that time, and it was a little bit different. But can you just walk us through and kind of catch us up to speed to where you are today?
Yeah, definitely. So I started at the Art Academy of Hillsborough, which is Kevin's kind of original school, when I was 17. And I had done art classes before. I'd always been the artsy type, I guess you could say. But I started when I was 17. And honestly, I just started because I was really stressed. So my mom actually drove me to school, dropped me off, left me, and was like, this is what you're doing now. And at the time, I didn't realize that she was basically handing me my career. I don't really think she realized that either. But I started taking weekly classes with Kevin, and I did that up until I started college, and I did that through college. And at some point during college, I kind of had a conversation with Kevin, and I said, I really want to pursue this professionally. And he recommended that I do his full-time program. I did his full-time program, and then I just started working full-time out of the school, teaching for Kevin and managing the studio. And then when Evolve was formed, I began working as the head instructor.
And so just to fill people in, how does the full-time program differ from the Evolve Artist program?
So the full-time program assumes that you have all of the basics down. So pretty much blocks 1 through 4. So charcoal drawing through direct painting, you have those down solid and you understand that. Then you spend 10 months working on different kinds of techniques like white pencil drawing, faking shadows, speed painting, puddling. It's kind of like the second half of Evolve, that professional block, but you do it in person at the school.
Gotcha. So Evolve, the first part, now we're calling it foundation. So you'll have the same knowledge that Kevin had at the peak of his career. And then the second part is mastery. And each part is about, we're saying roughly a year, though we're finding that some students, depending, we have some people who are full-time and they're going through things faster. But I think about a year, and we're still figuring out all of this and sort of what is the average time for people. But the intention was an hour a day should take you about a year. And so far, it seems like we're still pretty close with that. Obviously, some people are spending more time. Well, cool. Thank you for explaining the difference and kind of catching us up to how you got here. Because I think it's a pretty important distinction with some of the other students that we'll be talking with. So you started in Hillsborough. Because my next question is, have you studied art before? But then you did go to college, right?
Yes. So I had taken classes before I came to Kevin's school, and they had never really given me that technique I really wanted. So I was studying with him, and I applied to college, and I originally applied to be an English educator, so I wanted to be a teacher. And I quickly became, I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to teach full time, and I wanted to do art. So I changed to an art school and pursued fine art. And I felt really that my college lacked the technical skills that I felt I really needed to become an artist. I felt like there was a big focus on kind of the creative, emotional side of it, and I really was craving those solid technique-based lessons and that solid core education of technique. So during my senior year of college, I did the full-time program with Kevin, and I found that I learned so much more in a year doing the Evolve program at the school than I had learned pretty much my full time at college. So yeah, that was pretty much my experience with the Evolve program versus college.
Yeah, I think for me, having gone to art school, it was a similar experience. It was just like I wanted the technical proficiency to be, I'm seeing this thing and here's what I'm creating, and it's not like left up to chance. But I'm curious about, so you were studying with Kevin first, and then you went to college. So where were you skill wise, or what were you able to do in that transition point? Like how far had you come before you went to college?
So I was directly painting. So I was at pretty much block 4.
Okay.
When I started college. So I went into college and I was at the top tier of the kids in my class. I knew what I was doing, and I was looking for more. And I didn't feel like I was given it. And I can't blame my teachers. I love them. They were kind, nice people, but I really was craving that technical education, and they couldn't give it to me. So my senior year, I said, I want to make a career of this. I need to kind of invest myself more into it. And that's when I started the full-time program.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting, and something I've been curious about. Like how far would you actually be at the end of block 4 of the foundations if you were to go to college? And I think like the way that I have understand it now is that there's certain colleges in the US or in the world that can give you that higher level, but you have to already be at kind of that foundational level before they can take you higher. And then so there's very few of these schools, and then there's a lot of schools on the bottom that and by the sounds of it, your experience was similar to mine, where you go to the school and you're not really sure where you're going to be skill wise compared to the other students, because you don't see all the portfolios that come in. You go and then you realize that you're one of the better students. And what you start to realize is that these colleges are taking people, and like, I guess it's fine that they can take them from this lower level, but for people who want to like go to the top, which I think is like you, like me, like a lot of the people in the program, you want to push it and see how high you can go. And to do that, you need the technique and the technical ability. And that's really, I think, the distinction that what Evolve is doing is like, you are technically a master at using oil paint. And so now what are you going to make? Now that you have all the technique, you're not limited anymore by happy accidents or other things like that. It's like, no, it's very intentional. There's no limit. So next question is, why are you doing this? Like, what pushed you to get started? And I guess, originally your mom pushed you, but today, why are you doing this? Like, why do you keep going?
So why do I keep making art, or why do I keep?
Well, I think the question that I have here is like, what pushed you to originally start? And we talked about that a little bit, but I guess what pushed you to go back? You said you're looking for the technical mastery, but is there anything else to add to that? Was there a specific thing? Now, if you think back to it, was there a thing like, you know what, I really wanted to do X, and I just kept like hitting against the wall, and I didn't know how to do it, and it seemed like no one I could talk to could help me, but I knew that Kevin could help me pass this thing. Was there one specific thing that you can remember?
I mean, I remember the moment when I truly decided that I wanted to pursue art as a career. And I was actually sitting, it was a Sunday night class, and I was sitting there painting, and I was doing this little painting of a horse. And for those of you who don't know, I paint horses for a living. That's what I do. All of my clients are in the equine business, and I do equine portraiture. So I'm sitting there on a Sunday night, and I'm painting this horse, and Kevin comes up and he goes, "What are you doing?" And I was like, I'm painting a horse. Like, you can see that. I'm sitting here painting a horse. He goes, No. What are you doing, like, career-wise? Like, do you want to do this professionally? And it had always been a dream of mine. I always wanted to paint professionally, and I wanted that to be my career, and I just didn't think it was possible. I mean, the term starving artist is kind of embedded in your brain from a young age, and it just feels so unattainable if you're not naturally gifted or naturally incredible from a young age. And I didn't feel that I was. So he asked me that question, and it was just that one question that I needed to make me kind of decide that, you know what, yeah, I can do this. I'm going to do this. I'm sitting in one of the best schools in the country, in the world, and I can learn from this man, this teacher, and I can do this. And it's like that, you know, that rush when you're about to do something, like, oh, I can do this. And then you kind of get into it and you're like, okay, I think I can do this. But that was the moment when I decided, like, this is what I want to do. And I don't care how long it takes. I don't care what I have to do. I'm going to do it. And it was early fall. And so late fall, I transferred to an art school because in my mind, I thought I needed to have an art degree to become an artist.
Oh,
And
interesting.
I did. And, you know, I think it was just kind of the thinking that if I had that degree, it somehow made my career a little bit more valid. I could say, oh, I went to school for art, so I'm an artist. And I see flaws in that thinking now, but it was that push. And I think that push kind of made me really want to do this. And then I had time finally my senior year to do the full-time program, and that skill set, so blocks 5 through 8 for our students, was really what I needed to kind of pull everything together, begin to make a portfolio, and begin to have the confidence that I could reach out to clients and begin to create work for people. So long story short, that's kind of
Wow. That's really fascinating that that thought that I need the degree to kind of legitimize what I'm doing, because I'd always had the opposite thought that what matters as an artist is your portfolio. There are other things that go into it, but it's can you do the work, and for your client, it's like or if you're working in a studio, it's like, can I work with this person? Are they a good team player? And I think it's like those two things, but the degree, it's no one really, the value of that piece of paper is not the same as in other industries.
Yeah. And I think in my mind, it was something that I thought I really needed. And when I got into it, I was like, ooh, I don't need this. But at that point, I was a junior in college, and I'm like, I might as well finish. But yeah, it's interesting how I kind of convinced myself that was something that was necessary to be a legitimate professional.
So when you're not making art, what are you up to? What do you keep busy with?
So I have a German Shepherd, so that keeps me pretty busy, training him, keeping him working, and not destroying all of my things. And then I also have a lot of plants. So I spend my free time with my dog and my husband, and trying not to kill the many, many plants that I have.
Do you have a favorite plant of all of the plants?
I have two favorites. So my favorite that kind of feels unattainable is I have a palm, and it's actually here at the studio, and we use it in some of our videos. So it sits behind us when we record, and it's like that thing that I'm trying really, really hard to keep alive. And so far, so good. It just grew a new little palm frond, which is exciting. Yeah, so that I think that's my favorite right now. I also have snake plants, which are called plants of steel because you can't kill them. So they're perfect.
Okay, well, maybe that's something I can look into.
Yeah, you can't kill them.
So what, back to your practice of your art. So what is your strategy or strategies for getting your work done? And I think this is an important one because hopefully we can learn a bit as students of how other people are approaching it, that we might uncover some secrets that could really help us get some momentum behind us. So when you're working, how do you approach it?
Right. So I'm actually working on several commissions right now. And what I have to do is I need to separate my time. So I'm working for Evolve, and I'm also working for myself and my clients. And it's really important for me to set clear times when I'm going to do my work, and then actually sit down and do it. So let's say I work half the day at my Evolve things, and then I sit down, I kind of set my phone aside, and I just work on the stuff that I need to do. And for me, another thing that really helps is having a clear goal. So when I sit down, I look at my work and I say, okay, this is where I need to get to today. this is the end goal. So I have that end goal in mind, and I have kind of what I want to accomplish in the day set. So I'm not sitting down and working blindly or just working to work. I'm sitting down and I'm working with an end goal in mind.
Okay, so I just want to have a follow-up question here. So I think that sounds good once you know what you're doing. I don't. I'm just getting into oil painting. I was doing my first assignment today, and I have no idea how long it was going to take. And so I'm curious. I sort of feel like I like what you're saying. You have the end goal, but and then you can probably prioritize. Like, is my evolve work more important than my painting? And maybe you flip flop your schedule so that things can bleed out. Because I find that I'm often a horrible estimate of time. So I think, oh, I have this assignment today. My drawing assignments where I was doing an hour a day. That was my strategy. With these, maybe I'll give 2 hours. 2 hours was not enough. I'm going into something new, and I don't know what I'm doing. Do you let things bleed out, or do you organize them any way like that? So, or if you're like really into the painting, because I know that this has happened before too, where it's like, I just don't want to stop. And so then I'm only planning for an hour, but I might do 4 because I'm just in that mode and there's nothing slowing me down. Any advice there?
So I would recommend if your painting needs to, and again, I have a really flexible schedule. So when I sit down, if I need to keep painting, I can. But if you can keep working, keep working. But I tell a lot of students who say, well, I don't think I'm going to be able to sit down and finish this whole painting in one sitting. So I'll say, well, just work on, maybe start with your extreme shadows. Just fill in your extreme shadows and see where you are. And then if you can do your moderate shadows, do your moderate shadows. So working piece by piece on those early paintings, so that you don't rush. That's really important, is to not kind of try to finish the whole thing in a set amount of time, but rather if you have to stop, make sure you're at a good place to stop. So if you're in the middle of a gradient and your gradient's halfway done, don't stop. You're not going to be able to go back in and work on it. But if you have your painting filled in and you haven't started gradients yet, maybe that's a good place to stop, and you can go and lay down more paint later to make your gradients. But it's just a matter of giving yourself enough time to work, knowing if you have to stop, knowing that you need to get to a certain point in order to be able to stop. I don't know if that helps you, but.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think like I've been trying to set it in the morning, as that's my time before the day can get crazy. But I can see now it's like, okay, well, maybe in the morning I do something else, or if there's some prep, or I do my learning in the morning, and then I can contain it to an hour and I write out any notes I want to have. And then the evening is when I do my actual painting, because then it can go late, and if it needs to, and then that's fine. And I find it really relaxing. So it's actually a nice evening activity that often at the end of the day, I find I'm pretty brain dead. It's just like I've used up a lot of that mental energy. And with the painting, I'm not having to think too much. It's very, for me at least, it's very meditative. Like I have to pay attention to detail, but I'm not solving the same kind of complex language problems that I have in day-to-day life. Okay, let's keep going here. So what's on in the background while you're evolving? I love that we, like, you can just slip the word evolve into so many different things. So while you're evolving, while you're working on your paintings, what's on in the background? What's happening?
So I've actually get asked this question a lot, which is kind of funny because it's usually just like what I'm in the mood for. I listen to a lot of acoustic music, so nothing that's kind of gonna like snap me out of my concentration. Sometimes I'll listen to podcasts, but I have to be at a very specific place in my painting because I'll easily get distracted. So if I'm working on something really complicated or something I really need to focus on, I'll usually turn on something that's like acoustic, or I usually just go to Spotify's. They have like seasonal acoustic playlists. So right now I'm listening to winter acoustic.
Oh,
pretty
cool.
Good. But I also, one of my favorite photographers, Jamie Beck, she has this really wonderful playlist that she's cultivated, and it's a lot of classical music and movie music. So I'll listen to that sometimes as well.
Cool. So what, just in general, like what inspires and motivates you for creatively or while you're working?
So obviously I'm very inspired by horses and the form of horses. I've loved them since I've been very little, and I've been very fortunate to be able to work with them. And there's really something indescribable about the bond that you can have with a horse. It's difficult to explain, and it's just this incredible feeling of unity with this massive animal. And just being able to paint that and express that is so special to me and so important to me. And I love everything about horses. I've been able to learn all of the anatomy, the muscles, how the muscles connect, and it's an incredible field, and I love it. I could talk about it for hours. But professionally, one of my favorite parts of painting is when I deliver paintings. There is nothing like that feeling of giving someone a painting and they unwrap it and they look at it. And that's one of the best moments in my painting process, is when they see it. And it's always great when you get a cry or two. That always makes you feel pretty wonderful.
Really?
Yeah. I've had multiple, well, it's something that's so intimate. If it's your horse or your child with your horse, it's this really, it's this intimate connection that you have. And to see them immortalized and to be able to bring them into your home and have them be a part of your kind of the intimate part of your day, like when you're sitting on the sofa or you're eating dinner, to have them there and to have them feel like part of your family constantly is special. And it's overwhelming when you see that. And so people cry, and it's wonderful. And it makes me cry because, it's a lot. It's wonderful. But that's my favorite. Very special.
Definitely special. I like, and why I'm so shocked here. Shocked the right word, or enlightened? I don't know what the right word to use, but because I've always knew that I wanted to make some kind of art or some kind of visual thing since I was about 7, but never have I had the thought of making someone that will move someone to tears. It never had entered my brain that was even a possibility. I don't know why, but thanks for sharing that. I find that really, I don't think that's going to be a goal of mine, but just to be in the presence of someone that your work has that effect, and to be learning a skill of painting that can be taken to that level. And it's like, I don't think that's the goal, or it's just something that happens. It's just something natural. You can't explain it and you can't count on it or anything like that, but it's special. Just like you said, I think that's the best way to describe it.
And it definitely wasn't ever my goal. It wasn't anything that I ever really understood until it happened.
Yeah.
And to have it happen is so special, and it's really an honor. I'm really lucky to work with wonderful clients. So.
Definitely. So we're almost done here. Where can we see more of your work online? If somebody's listening or watching here, we'll include the pictures. So if you're watching the video, that you can see some of the things here. But if someone's just listening, where can they check you out online?
So you can check out my website, which is pipertalladay.com. And then I also have an Instagram page, which is Piper_T. So you can just search me on Instagram or by my website.
Awesome. And you'll know you're in the right place when you see a bunch of horses. I'll just preface it with that. If you see it, happens to be another Piper Talladay, and you find it and there's no horses, it's the wrong one. It's probably the next one or the one before.
I think I'm the only one, but there might be another one.
So last question for you here. What would you tell a new evolver, someone who's new to the program, to inspire them and get them to move through this?
I think I can say it best by the way one of our other students described it is just get your butt in the chair. Just sit down and start working and trust the process. The process was designed specifically. No exercise is mundane. Every exercise was thoughtfully prepared for you. So trust the process, put your butt in the chair, and get involved with our community. Our community is really special and really vibrant, and there's peer groups that really love to inspire and encourage fellow and new evolvers. So just get your butt in the chair and get started. It's going to take you great places.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Piper. We'll be back with the Pencil Kings show next week with another student interview. If you're interested about this Evolve artist thing that we've been talking about, and you haven't heard about it somehow, you can go and check it out at evolveartist.com, where they have the whole, you can see the curriculum, what you'll learn at each step. And why I'm so excited about this, and this is really my life's mission now, is to tell more people about this program, because I feel like for the longest time, art has not had a solid footing in education. And the big reason for that is that because there was a curriculum that was lacking where people could go and sign up and start from absolutely nothing. Because inside the program, what I tell people is if you can sign your name and hold a pen or a pencil, that's all the prerequisites that you need. And it makes it possible for you to get everything that you see on the website. All of this is work that you will do in the first year. So that's it for me. We will be back. And of course, if you want to see some of the other things we're doing, there's pencilkings.com. Talk to you soon. And thanks so much, Piper. I really appreciate it.
Demands patience, skill, years of practice.
Ah, you talk like a fool. I would trade a century of practice for an ounce of inspiration.